going on? This video is like it's kind of stupid and it's kind of depressing. More stupid than depressing. But we gotta talk about something that I'm just gonna be honest. I just don't believe this story. I personally think this is just my personal opinion. Do I got my props here? I personally think I put this story in the BS category. There's no way, like, if this story is true, like me, I want to see receipts. I need to see the withdrawal that you made and all this stuff because there's too many idiotic things that, like, in a situation, there's a certain amount of idiotic things that have to happen. But for this situation to happen, it's like just idiotic thing compounded by idiotic thing, like to the fifth power. Like so many idiotic, ridiculous things had to have happened for this to be true. I'm gonna be honest, I just don't believe it. Like, I don't know if her stories were hitting or they weren't hitting, and they was like, "Yo, you got to come up with something good." So I don't know if this is a global finesse because it's just so damn stupid. But we're gonna talk about this story. We're gonna talk about the financial columnist who was scammed, finessed out of $50,000, 50 racks. 80,000 in their life savings, her and her husband, they got kids, and 50,000 of it went to scammers, not by some high-speed crypto scam, not by goddamn like a Ponzi scheme or DJ Envy real estate scheme, to some guy in the car in the damn shoebox. Like, I can't even, like, in a shoebox. So we definitely got to talk about this. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus, the Debt Free Dad, where we talk finance and attorney reactions. Always got to toss out the disclaimer. I'm a licensed attorney in several jurisdictions, but none of those jurisdictions amount to me being your personal attorney. So the point of that is, yo, if you need a professional, seek out a professional in your area. And after you listen to this story, don't even listen to fucking financial columnists. Because if they getting finessed out of 50K in a shoebox, like, Lord, it ain't safe out there for nobody. But seek a professional, do your due diligence, try to avoid me doing a review about some shit that happened to you. All right, so we got to talk about this. All right, financial columnist, and I got a little bit of video, but I think is a little bit better to just kind of talk through it on the beginning. Now, before we even go in, I just gotta give my background. Investigations, prosecutions, defense, that's kind of my ballpark. Like, if you give me something, I'll figure it out. Like, I literally I literally just saw that the FBI is investigating. They actually uh stated that they're investigating uh Tiffany Henyard, who is this terrible mayor. And when I did a story on her months ago, I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what a fraud is for this type of thing. So this is what I do when people, excuse me, get scammed, investigations. I'm the guy who sit behind the scenes. I work with the investigators. We kind of put things together to see where the tomfoolery, where the bullshit is, so we can, try to get the people their money back. But in this case, sometimes, well, I ain't gonna say she's not deserving of getting her money back, but this is a case of just stupidity to the third degree. So before I even go in, I just wanted to jump out on the comments that we already got in the. When I first saw the headline, I thought she had a hostage situation hoax. Nope, it sounded like a bad spy novel. I agree. I agree. It was a red bottle box. Yeah, I didn't know what type of box it was. I heard it was like a real fancy box. Like, okay, if you got red bottles and you go take out 50K in cash, like, I don't know. I just think this is terrible. But this is what happened before we even go to the video, because I got the article pulled up, because there's some nuances that we just got to talk about that's ridiculous. Long story short, mother, wife has a child. She is a columnist, a financial columnist, where she write articles related to finances and budgeting and all of that good money stuff. Husband works for a nonprofit. Okay, life savings that they got in the bank is 80,000. One morning, while she's just in the house, it's like Halloween. She getting her son ready in his little costume or what have you. She gets a call. She checks her caller ID. It says Amazon. So she answers the phone. Now, stupid thing number one, I should have had a little bell. So every time we get to something stupid, I could go bing, the number pop up. Stupid thing number one. Has Amazon ever fucking called anybody? Like, I got a lot of calls from a lot of places. I got a lot of calls from scammers. I've never gotten a call from Amazon. I don't think Amazon calls anyone. If you work at Amazon and you miss your shift, Amazon probably not going to call you if you miss your shift. So that's stupid thing number one. She gets this call from Amazon. And when she gets the call from Amazon, she's just, like, oh, the caller ID says Amazon. It must be Amazon. She answers the phone. Well, what happens when she answers the phone? It's a woman on the line. Woman doesn't have an accent. A lot of times when you get like calls, even if it's a legit call, like you call customer service for your computer, and it's some dude who way in India or somewhere in Mozambique. But no, she gets someone on the phone, someone who the young lady doesn't sound like she has an accent. And she says, hey, we're calling because we suspect there's fraudulent activity on your account. Have you spent $800? Have you spent $8,000 on iPads and Macintosh Apple laptops? So the lady immediately says, no, I haven't. Now, this is one smart thing that she does. So if I'm gonna point out all of the stupid shit, I'm gonna give her credit for the smart stuff. She goes on to her phone, she looks at her Amazon account, she looks at her previous orders, and it looks how it's supposed to look. Whatever it was, the hell she ordered, it wasn't full of laptops and iPads. It was toasters or red bottoms or whatever the hell she ordered was up there. So it was no cause to pause. Well, the lady said, we believe your account is associated with fraud. You've been a victim of identity theft. We're going to go ahead and transfer you to our point of contact at the Federal Trade Commission. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with the Federal Trade Commission, the Federal Trade Commission job is to protect consumers. They actually filed a lawsuit today against Amazon. But a lot of times you'll see Federal Trade Commission in the news when company A is trying to merge with company B and presumably build a big ass monopoly, antitrust violations. But the Amazon representative, we're gonna put air quotes up because this bitch ain't work at Amazon. So the Amazon representative said, we're gonna transfer you to our liaison, special agent, I don't know, Fluffy McGee, or whatever his name was. Because the article is so long and so stupid, it's easier for me to just kind of talk through it, okay? So they immediately transfer her to someone at the FTC. He answers in the official FTC sounding way. Hey, I'm Agent Fluffy McGee. I don't know if that's his real name. I didn't even go to the article. But he answers in an official way. This call is being recorded, blah, blah, blah. Second of all, nobody at any government agency will say that the call is recorded unless it's customer service. That's a whole nother thing. But he says this call is being recorded. So he goes on to essentially corroborate all of the facts of this particular case. Now, here's where the shit just goes left field, which I believe that this lady is full of shit. But here's where it goes to left field. He starts to ask the lady that, hey, do you have any ties to anyone in Iraq or Jamaica? Because allegedly, he said that there is millions of dollars in your names. There's properties, there's rental cars being sent in your name. There's money being transferred overseas. So you've definitely been a victim of identity theft. A lot of the times, identity theft is committed by someone who is close to you. Do you know anybody in these areas? Here's where shit get wild. He says a rental car in your name was found in Texas at the border, and it had drugs and guns and like blood splatter all over it. And this vehicle was tied to your name. So this is a really deep situation here that you should be cautious of. Then this guy proceeds to text her and send her a text message of a picture of a crime scene. Like, it's really that stupid thing number two. They said a picture of like Amazon will that call you. Like, I don't know. I never got a fucking call from Amazon. Agent Launchpad McQuack. That jacket had me rolling. But so this agent sends a text message with a photo of this vehicle and this crime scene that was registered to her. So now she's kind of shook. All the while they're having this conversation, the young lady who said she was from Amazon, she was actually able to confirm this lady's social security number, her date of birth, her family members. She knew that this lady had a son. She knew all of this background information about this lady. So I will tell you, hey, in all honesty, oh, the more information someone can give you about yourself, generally, the more likelihood that you're going to believe them. Now, again, I always got to look for it because I throw it in a different place. I personally think this story is full of shit. If we find out this story made up a month from now, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. But this lady was given her social security. Most times, what happened, here's a point of interest. Most times, what happens, a scammer will call and say, "Hey, I'm calling on behalf of Amazon. We believe you had some fraudulent activity on your account. We just want to confirm your information to make sure it wasn't you. Can you confirm your mailing address for us?" And they don't know your mailing address, but you confirm it and give it to them. Okay, now and so that's normally how those things work. But these people were able to confirm everything. So they built up a lot of fear. This lady was nervous because they mentioned her son and all of this intimate information that nobody generally would know. Another point of interest here, we got to just have a little bit of common sense. There's been so many data breaches by places that we use every day. Most people's shit is out there. Like I get notices all the time, like, "Oh, we found your password on this site. Go change your password from these companies you can hire, or a lot of times your credit card will order you a service where they'll scan the internet, the dark web to make sure nothing crazy out there with your information on it." But this lady was really nervous because they knew so much intimate information about her. So not only did they send her pictures of a crime scene, they passing her around to the FTC. Now this lady actually questions this. She's like, "Yo, hold up, this doesn't sound legit. Can I speak to like a supervisor?" So what do? They actually transfer her to another individual who is fronting as if they are the actual supervisor. The lady was even more skeptical. Now, before she got to this point, she actually sent her husband a text message like, "Baby, we've been scammed. We got our identity theft stolen. We got our identity stolen. I'm on the phone with an agent from the." I mean, she sent her husband this text message. Like, I don't know. I would have stopped what I was doing immediately. I could have been in the middle of a trial. I'd have been like, "Yana, we need a recess because this text dumb and my wife about to do some stupid shit." But she sends her husband a text message. Now, we don't know if the husband replied because I couldn't ascertain that from the story. So she's on the phone. She asked to speak to a supervisor because she having some reservations. Supervisor gets on the phone to reassure her. She asks, like, "Can I get a badge number or anything?" They give her a badge number, and not only do they give her a badge number, they take a picture of the badge number and send her a picture, a picture, and a text message of the badge number. Now, I don't know if y'all had kids, but like when I was little, I used to like love going into the grocery store and they had the whack ass toy owls. And I don't know if you remember, you could get the cap gun. It was a little revolver with a little ring of caps you could put in there. And that bitch came with the caps, that little bullshit gun, and like a little shiny ass badge that had some random ass numbers on it. Again, I think this story is cap. I need to see the picture, the badge number. I need to see the vehicle. I need to see all of this stuff, all of the compound stupid acts that got us to this point. So she gets the badge number. She's nervous. They tell her, "Hey, you're at risk here. There's an actual chance that you can be caught up and wrapped up in this investigation. You could be looking at jail time because, we don't know what's a legitimate account and what's an illegitimate account." So by this time, this lady is completely spazzing the hell out. Now, I will tell you, I got to stop here. Soon as I saw the title of this story and I heard the story, I had a strange suspicion that it wasn't a black woman. I was like, 'cause I'll tell you right now. I think most people in general, I'm not gonna make it race specific, but I think, man, what the government calling your phone, we automatically weary of that. We like, you call them, I don't know. So this lady's nervous as hell. They got intimate information. They showed her a vehicle with a crime scene with yayo and money and guns in the trunk that they said the vehicle was rented in her name. They showed her a Toys R Us badge with a badge number. This lady texting her husband. She didn't hear back from her husband. They tell her she could have some criminal exposure here. And we're going to get to this bottom of this. If you listen to us and do what we tell you to do, we can make sure that you can get out of this situation and we'll figure everything out. But you have to be very cautious. Any you can't tell anybody about this because this is an ongoing investigation, and we don't know who the person is who is stealing your identity or who stole your identity. What's good, bro? Appreciate you tuning in. So after we get to that point, she says, "Okay, all right, I'm gonna trust y'all." They ask, "This is where shit started to get crazy again. How much money do you have in the bank?" Who asked that? I don't tell nobody how much money I got in the bank. Like, like, but how much money do you have in the bank? And what does she do? Hey, we got $80,000 in the bank. That's our life savings of $80,000. They're like, okay, good. That's good. Because what's going to happen is because of this investigation, there's this criminal exposure. Your money is tied to drugs, guns, money laundering, all of this stuff in Iraq and Jamaica. Your assets are going to get frozen. So you need to be able to put your hands on some tangible cash, some hard cash, so you can have that money to live on. So can you get some money to how much would it cost? How much would it you and your husband need? The question was, how much would you and your husband need to survive for a year? And so she kind of crunches the numbers. Let's see. She says, well, we could get by on about $50,000. If we pull out $50,000, then what we make, we should be able to get by. Because she was real detailed. Now she's just giving up all the goods. That's our life savings. Because of the type of work I do, we got a bigger than usual, bigger than normal emergency fund. Plus, because of my work, I don't pay taxes. So I have to set aside the money for taxes as well. So they're like, okay, bet. Here's what we're gonna do. Go ahead and get the 50,000 cash out of the bank. But you have to be really cautious when you go to the bank because we don't know who the scammer is. We don't know who's out here trying to take in your identity. And we had one investigation where the person who was committing the identity theft actually worked at the bank. So whatever you do, don't talk to nobody at the bank about what's going on. Actually, when you go in the bank, leave us on speakerphone so we can leave us on speakerphone so we can hear what's going on. So the story just starts to get crazier and crazier, dumber and dumber. So this lady actually ends up going to the bank. She goes to the bank. She makes the withdrawal of $50,000. Okay, she got the $50,000 in her house. In the meantime, this is like an episode of what was that fucking movie? Y'all remember that movie the whole time? Where like the whole movie, it's like that movie, I think it was called Phone Booth, where the whole movie, the dude was just on the phone the whole time and they just threatening the fuck out of him. This lady been on the longest call ever. She's been on this phone for a long ass time. She gets the money out of the bank. I mean, this story just sounds like straight cabbage. You can find my social security, my kid's name, and my pet dog name. But you know how much money I have in the bank? I mean, right. Like, I don't know. This crazy part is, like, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, even before I finish telling this story, I'll tell you right now, like, her husband is I can't believe that this story is true. That's why this is a blue cap story. I cannot believe that this story is true. But if this story is true, her husband is the most kind, he's the kindest, most forgiving person in the world because I would be mad as hell. Man, our life savings is $80,000. 30 of that is for taxes, and the other 50 is what we got saved. And you gave that shit away to off an Amazon phone call after you check the shit and the Amazon account look good. That's crazy as hell. So the lady makes the withdrawal. After she makes the withdrawal, she heads home. The whole time, she's still on her phone, like, okay, I just withdrew the money. What do I do next? What do I do next? All right, here's what you're going to do, right? Now, hold on. Let me pull up the article, okay? Let me pull up the article because I want to read this part real quick. So let's go ahead and go to the video because I want y'all to see this video. After we watch this video, we're gonna dive into the article because the only part of the article worth reading is the part that I'm about to touch on. So we're gonna cue up this video real quick, and then I'm gonna jump back in. Let's see.
I never thought I was the kind of person to fall for a scam. That's the words of a financial advice columnist that went viral last week for a piece titled, "The Day I Put $50,000 in a Shoebox and Handed It to a Stranger." New York Magazine Charlotte Cowles recounts that one Halloween, she got a call from crooks spinning this elaborate and fictional tale, and it worked.
Here's what happened. First, a caller posing as an
man.
Amazon employee told her she was a victim of identity fraud. Then another scammer impersonated the Federal Trade Commission, who said 22 bank accounts, 9 vehicles, and 4 properties were allegedly registered in her name. And then finally, someone claiming to be a CIA investigator convinced her to withdraw tens of thousands of dollars
I
from
forgot
her
the
bank
CIA.
account and
They got
hand it
all
to
the
them
alphabet
for
boys in it.
safekeeping.
Financial columnist for New York Magazine's The Cut, Charlotte Cowles, joins us now with more on her story. I mean, this is incredible. And I think it had to be really hard for you to come forward and tell this story. Why did you decide to do it?
It is deeply embarrassing.
Hey, real quick, I'm telling y'all right now, I did a video on who's easier to scam, men or women. And statistically, it's men because they probably think like me. Like, I'm like, man, ain't nobody gonna ever scam me. But if I do get scammed, and it's not like if it's something really intricate, I would come on here and be like, man, they got me. But if it's some shit like this, y'all would never know. I'd have ate that $50,000 loss and shut the fuck up. Y'all would have had no clue that DFD got finessed because this is just too stupid to be true.
And I wanted to tell this story because there really is no
I think she
stereotypical
full of
scam
crap, bro.
victim. And I know this from my own personal experience, obviously, but also the hundreds of emails that I've received from other people since this story came out. Other financial professionals, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're government employees. There are people of all walks of life who this happens to. And this is also backed up by data and research that's done on scam victims. There really is no one type of person who's vulnerable.
You wrote that several friends fell
There's one type of person who's vulnerable. Well, two types: greedy people and people who just aren't that bright. Like this lady, yeah, she college educated too, but which this is crazy as hell. Like I honestly don't want to read anything that she writes on finances after this whole story.
felt strongly that if the scammers hadn't mentioned your son, right, kind of talking about your family in the context of this, that you would not have fallen for it. In hindsight, is there a moment you think you would have changed?
Oh, there's so many moments, but I think that these scammers are really good at what they do. That's the reason they keep doing it, is that it works.
We should say
And
you were kind of passed off in multiple phone calls. It's
Yeah.
not like you just got an email and replied
No.
back with a box of cash.
You know, I actually would respect her more if she fell for a Nigerian prince scam. I would be like, hey, he said you had 10 million, all you had to do was send 10,000. Like, I would have a look. I think a Nigerian prince, I think this is far worse than falling for a Nigerian prince scam, in my
Cash.
personal
No,
opinion.
they didn't come out of the gate and ask for money. It unfolded very gradually and incrementally over 5 hours on the phone.
God damn, hold up,
and I
wait,
think
bro.
that what these people do,
over 5 hours on the phone. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah, they 5 hours. Hold up, pause. Time out. 5 hours on the goddamn phone. It ain't no way they would. They definitely would have got me because after I don't want to be on the phone for longer than like it's about 4 people who I could talk to for maybe longer than 20 minutes. Like 5 hours. God damn, God, man, that actually makes this worse. I see. I didn't even get that part because I didn't even watch the video. I just pulled it up. But you on the phone getting finessed for 5 hours? Like, what type of phone do you got? Like you ain't got no apps running in the background. That's crazy as hell. She on the phone 5 hours getting straight finessed out here in these streets. Damn shame. Yeah, they. I hope I mean, nobody should lose their job, but as a financial columnist who gives financial advice and you put 50 racks in the shoebox.
Do is they're very good at targeting people, figuring out their one specific vulnerability. Everyone has one at least. And
One, you got like at least 10. Gullible, stupid, naive, scared, foolish. I mean,
and
I can.
exploiting that. And for me, it was my family. And they had very intimate details about me, about my family members. They knew where I lived. They knew the last four digits of my social security number. They knew about my son. And it was terrifying.
It's just dastardly. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is just the lowest of low. I mean, was there anywhere where your radar went off? Was there a moment where you're like, this doesn't feel right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole time, none of it felt right. But
The whole time, none of it felt right. Whatever happened to that thing that women have, women intuition? That shit ain't kicking. Women's intuition only work when a woman think their boyfriend cheating on them. I don't know how women intuition work, but like your spidey senses should have been tingling like fuck right now. This is
the
crazy.
tiny chance that what they were saying was actually true was terrifying enough that I was willing to cooperate. And the things that they were threatening were so terrifying that, that tiny voice that says, what if they're right? That was enough to make me listen and stay on the phone with them.
One of the things that struck me about this story is the isolation of it when it's happening to you and also afterwards. We're hearing about like sextortion with teen boys. We're hearing about all kinds of other scams that really seem to point to people feeling like they had nowhere to turn. You're married, you had a family. Can you talk about that instinct to not reach out for help?
Absolutely. There's actually a name for this. It's called blocking the exits. And it's a really effective manipulation tactic. And
Where they make it seem like you can't contact this person, don't.
You're under surveillance, you're being watched, your phone is tapped, your computer's been hacked. They really make it seem like you have nowhere to turn. In this particular instance, I was also home by myself. I was working from home.
Oh my god.
And so under any other circumstances, of course, I mean, my best friend is a lawyer. Like I have an incredible support system around me, and they really made me feel like I couldn't talk to anyone.
That's the part that it makes me.
Let's pause this real quick. We about to finish up this shit show of an interview. I wish she let me do it. I wish I could interview her. That shit wouldn't go well. But do y'all really believe this story? Like, I literally can't believe this story. Like, I need to see the text messages that she received, and I need to see the withdrawal slip from the bank. And like, I can't believe that somebody is this stupid to fall for that. Like, oh, I was scared. Like, you really should have been scared when you got $50,000 from the bank. You know, the rate of follow home robberies that have been occurring in the United States is ridiculous. Like, you put yourself in a position to actually have some real crazy shit. Because I guarantee you, if you would have got that $50,000 out, then it would have hit you and you'd have been like, nah, I don't know. Now you're really putting yourself at risk of being a straight victim to a crime. This is the craziest shit I ever heard in my life. It's straight asinine.
You just so uncomfortable. You're home alone. Just how
Yeah.
awful you must have felt the whole time.
I bet you after this interview, they both went in the back and laughed at her. I know before I'd have been like, we about to interview her. All right, let's go and keep a straight face. Like, shout out to them for sounding real interested and not asking the real questions.
After your story, I emailed my family and said, no matter what happens, you can tell me.
So help us through this. I mean, what does everyone who's watching this need to know that they have to do if they start going down a road like this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing is that you can never really prepare for how you're going to react when someone threatens your family. So everyone thinks that they would never.
All right. Real quick. Y'all let me know Do y'all think that her family was threatened? Because the only threat that I seen when I read the article was a threat of prosecution, arrest. Like, I don't know. Like if somebody was like, "Hey, you're gonna be arrested for a crime, or pay me $50,000," I'm gonna be like, I'm like, come on, let's go. We got shit. I'm sure the bail gonna be less than $50,000. So let's go and take this out. We'll figure this shit out at the first appearance. So, but do y'all really think that she was threatened, or would that threat of prosecution and being incarcerated for drug trafficking and all this crazy ass stuff really put you at a point of apprehension and fear to go from your house to the bank? They know where you live at. They got your address. You go from your house to the bank. You at home by yourself. You get $50,000 and then travel back home. Like, I don't know. I just think this story is the I don't know. I just wouldn't be shocked if this came out to be some BS in a couple months. I I wouldn't. My spidey senses is kind of tingling, unlike hers.
Never fall for something like this. I thought that I would never fall for something like this. So the best way that you can prepare is to think of a couple of people who you can trust, who you would reach out to in a situation like this, and then think of the ways that you would get off the phone if you really had to. Lie, make up a reason. Say you have to go to the bathroom. Say that you're losing cell phone service, and just slow down, take a beat, call someone, reach out to someone else. It's the best way to do a gut check and really get yourself out of a situation when you're in over your head.
Thanks for doing this. I know it couldn't have been easy.
Thank you.
I think it's really important what you've done here, and I hope people are paying attention.
Man, I know they went to the back after that interview and laughed their ass off. I know they went to the back after that interview and laughed their ass off. So after that interview, the head of the FTC actually put out a statement when she saw that interview and was like, "Yo, uh, just so y'all know, we not calling y'all, we not giving y'all no case numbers, we not taking pictures of cartel vehicles, purporting them to be yours. Like, we aren't doing all that stuff. Be careful, there's scammers out here." But I wanted to go to this article real quick because at the story, we're at the point where she's at the bank right now. And I actually want to read this part because I thought this was the I ain't gonna say this. I ain't gonna say the stupidest. I ain't gonna say the stupidest part, but I thought this part was quite interesting. Let's go ahead and get this queued up. All right, I'm gonna pull this article up. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this article up real quick. All right. Let's see where we gonna start at. I want to make sure. Blah blah blah. When I reached the bank, I told the guard I needed to make a large cash withdrawal, and she sent me upstairs. Michael was on speakerphone in my pocket. So she got the scammers on speakerphone in her pocket. I asked the teller for $50,000. The woman behind the thick glass window raised her eyebrows, disappeared into a back room, came back with a large metal box of $100 bills, and counted them out with the machine. And then she pushed the stack of bills through the slot along with the sheet of paper, warning me against scams. I thanked her and left. Come on, bro. Really? Like, come on. Like, how many, come on. Like, that's divine intervention right there. Like, God was trying to throw you, a lifeline. Like, hey, man. Because, like, y'all see at most banks, most banks, Wells Fargo, USAA, when you get a certain amount of money in the bank, they consider you a, a prime customer. You get an actual banker, like you're like the Clampets on the Beverly Hillbillies, and you got millions of dollars. Most banks is like $50,000, $100,000. But when you have a certain amount of money across all of your accounts, you get treated different. Like you'll go to the bank and they'll be like, okay, if you want to count your money, here, go in the back room where it's secure and you can count your money. So making that withdrawal, going to the back room, she had that special designation, had a personal banker, because they don't send regular folks to the back room to get their money. Because regular folks, you ain't going to pull out $50,000, just for shits and giggles. but she had the bank teller specifically tell her when she took the damn money out, like, hey, yo. Then she pushed the stack of bills through the slot along with the sheet of paper, warning me against scams. So she didn't even tell us. She wrote the shit on the sheet of paper just in case this lady was being threatened or something, like, hey, be careful for scams out there in these streets. I thanked her and left. This lady is the absolute worst. Michael was bursting with praise. I know Michael was in there doing a jig. Michael about to get 50 racks at one time. Shit. I mean, what? I think she spoke to 3, maybe 4 people. Like, hey, Michael was bursting with praise. You did a great job. Shout out to you. You did a great job, he said. I have to go for a moment to see about the details of your case. I'm going to have you speak to my colleague if you have any questions. He put a woman on the phone line. She was younger with an accent. I couldn't identify. She told me to go home and await further instructions. So now you by yourself in the house on the phone for 5 goddamn hours, sitting there just waiting for instructions. The other thing is, like, in the interview, she said, like, yo, you got to find a way to get off the phone, or you got to find a way to get off the phone. Tell them you got to go to the bathroom. You on the phone 5 goddamn hours, you ain't make a sandwich or nothing. Like, 5 hours during the day is a long ass block of time to just be on the phone and not do anything else. Like, I don't know. This whole story just sounds absolutely freaking ridiculous. Okay. As I walked back to my apartment, something jolted me out of my trance, and I became furious. Here she go, spidey senses tingling. No government agency would establish this as a protocol. It was preposterous. I think this is straight bullshit. I just can't believe this story. I'm gonna actually go back and see what her columns were before this. Maybe her columns weren't jumping and she needed something to jolt her career. If so, hey, this was smart as hell. But no, this would be preposterous. I need to speak with Michael. I told the woman on the phone. He got on right away. I didn't even believe that you're a CIA agent. I said, what are you asking me to do is completely unreasonable. He sighed. I'm sending you a photo of my badge right now. Again, with the badge stuff. He said, I don't know what else to tell you. You can trust me and I will help you. Or you can hang up the phone and put yourself and your family in danger. Do you really want to take that risk with a young child? Okay, like the threat here is the threat of prosecution and arrest, or with whatever this fake ass criminal element is here. Um, I don't know. Like, I'm at home by myself. Like, hey, y'all just gonna have to come. Even my wife, y'all just gonna have to come. Yeah, it is what it is. It's gonna be a shootout at DFD crib. This story is absolutely asinine. I'm gonna hit the comments up in a few. All right. He sent the photo of the badge. Do you really want to take the risk with a young child? I waited for a stoplight at a busy intersection. I could see my apartment window from where I stood. My son was playing inside with the neighbor's daughter and their nanny. A picture of Michael's badge appeared on my phone. I would love to see a photo of that badge. That bitch probably that badge probably made out of it probably looked like the badge that old boy had on a scary movie, Deputy Doofus porcelain. That's just made out of styrofoam. My son was playing blah 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 nanny. A picture of Michael's badge appeared on my phone. I had no way of verifying it. It could have easily been Photoshop. I don't trust you at all, I said to Michael, but it doesn't seem like I have any other choice. Wah, 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 wah. When I got home, Michael told me to get a box, put the cash in it, and take a picture of it and to tape it shut. I found a floral printed shoebox that had once contained a pair of slippers I brought for myself, a frivolous purchase that now seemed mortifying. Now you want to talk about fiscal responsibility and mortifying things that you've done. This whole tale is a mortifying tale. Michael told me to label it with my name, my case number, my address, a locker number he read to me, and my signature. Like, yo, this is not how anything is transported with the government. Like I did a video on seizures of cash at the airport. They give you a whole fucking write up when they seize your cash. It's a whole process. It's gonna be 1 or 2 agents there. I mean, like nothing from the government evidence cash is collected in this dumb ass way. This is just a fucking travesty. And I'm gonna be honest, on the blame side of the game, I'm gonna give her 80% of the blame for falling for this. All right. He put a locker number he read to me and my signature. She did all this shit. Then he directed me to take another picture of the box, of the labeled box, and text it to him. My colleague will be there soon. He's an undercover CIA agent and he will secure the money for you, he said. Now, let's just think about this. Why would somebody let's just a little common sense. Sometimes a little common sense go a long way. Real quick, let's take a pause. If he fucking asked you, hey, how much money would you need to live for a year? How much money would you need to live for a year, right? You go to the bank, take out $50,000. Why the fuck would he ask you how much do you need to live for a year for you to hand the money over to him? Like you hand us the money and we're gonna give you a stipend. Like this is just you know tomfoolery and absolutely crazy. Let's hit some of the comments up so I don't be all way behind. You can find my social security number, my kid's name, and my pet dog's name, but you don't know how much money in the bank. That's 100% facts. Everything about everybody is on the internet. It is what it is, and if it's not on open source on the internet, it's probably on the dark web. Crazy that she fell for this. I agree, bro, but I think this may be a lot of capping going on, but it is what it is. If you're on the phone with the government and you get an actual human being on the line, that should be your that's facts. Like, hey, real talk. That's a good point, man. I need to get a little sound machine. I hit you with a bing, you get a little point for that one, man. Cause like the government called you, like nah. Like normally you call them, you on hold, you gotta hit a bunch of buttons. They got a voice prompt, and the voice prompt never worked. Press 1 if you're calling for this, and you say 1 or you say whatever the voice prompt is, and the shit never read it. That's hilarious. She lost all street cred. She had no street cred. Now this is straight suburbia, no street cred at all. Like this is somebody if they went to go purchase marijuana on the street, they would get sold gerbil food. That's what's going on right here. That's funny. Yeah, 5 hours, man. Please, I ran my wife for 5 hours. I wouldn't. I don't talk to my family in 5 hours combined for the whole goddamn week. That's crazy as hell. I give her like 30 minutes. That's fair. That's facts. That's funny. 30-minute max. Last 4 digits of social. That's the number for the copy machine at work. Hey, yo, I worked at jobs where everything was by a key panel. You couldn't access anything without a key panel. And the panel was like your last 4 of your social to get in, which was a completely stupid security mechanism. I think that was a stupid way to secure it because I could hit somebody over their head, force them to get their social. Now I got access over the whole building. But there are a lot of places like that where they use your social or your date of birth or something as for access, ingress, and egress to access machines and shit like that. So that's definitely a good point. 500K, 50,000 tax free. I'm in the wrong line of work. Hey man, shout out to the scammers out there. But yo, real talk, I'd have respected her more if she would have fell for the Nigerian president. Call 911, for example. That's cool. I gotta drop off, man. No worries, bro. I appreciate you tuning in. Y'all make sure to go check out my bro over at About That Wallet. He has good finance content, and he also touched bases on some good social issues too, as well. So that's that badge was probably. I tell you, it was like that. Like I tell you, remember, go back and Google Officer Doofus Porcelain from Scary Movie. His badge was like made out of paper mache. That shit was all curling up at the corners. Total fake story. I agree. You have to fill out a form for taking out more than 10K for the terrorist watch list. Hey, that's a fair point. And I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. It's hard to get 50 racks out of the bank. I got 10,000 out of the bank, and it was a process. Like I didn't have to talk to one person. I had to talk to like 2 or 3 people. It was paperwork to fill out because it's the same way they do that for terrorist purposes and for tax purposes. If you uh government agencies get notified when there's a deposit of $10,000 or more. And that was a change that happened, I think, in the 90s or something like that, early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. It was Herschel Walker's. Hey man, Herschel Walker is an FBI agent. He went to the training. All right, let's go ahead and finish. Let me go ahead and finish up this damn story, man, so we can get through it. But I wanted to get to the good part. All right, let's see. Here you go. My colleague will be there soon. He's an undercover CIA agent, and he will secure the money for you. He said, "What exactly would that entail?" I asked. Tonight, we will close down your social security number, and you will lose access to your bank accounts. He explained. Tomorrow, you will need to go to the social security office and get a new social security number. What the fuck? She think they pass out social security numbers like fucking Halloween candy? This lady's a buffoon. We'll secure this money for you in a government locker and hand deliver a treasury check for the same amount. You can cash the check and use it for your expenses until the investigation is over. Wait, you will lose access to your bank accounts. How the fuck you gonna cash a check? You gonna cash a $50,000 check at the goddamn liquor store? Man, this lady's a buffoon. This story fake as hell, man. I hope if this story real, she probably shouldn't be employed as a financial columnist. And if story is fake, she probably shouldn't be employed for telling a story that just doesn't make sense. The pieces aren't connecting together for me. All right. They'll give her, you can cash the check in the account that you don't have, I guess at the liquor store, and use it for your expenses until the investigation is over. Why can't I just use the cash? I asked. That's a good question. See, going back to this. Now, let's see how stupid this is on a scale of 1 to 10. Why do you have to take it and give me a check? Because all of their assets under your current identity are part of the investigation, he said. You're being charged with money laundering. If we secure the cash and then issue you a government check under your new social security number, that will be considered clean money. That don't even make no goddamn sense. You could have watched like 3 movies. You could have watched Catch Me If You Can about scamming and finessing with Leonardo DiCaprio and know that don't make any goddamn sense. I'll need to see your colleague's badge. I said, I'm not just going to give $50,000 of my money to someone I know that I don't know. Yes, you will, bitch. You will. You already did. Like just because he showed you the toy badge from KB Toys doesn't mean that you ain't gonna give it to somebody you don't know. You already did it. And if you didn't do it, you told a terrible lie ass story. Undercover agents don't carry badges, he said. That was the first thing that these scammers said that I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Undercover agents don't carry badges. He said, as if I'd asked the CIA to bring me a Happy Meal. They're undercover, remember? You are probably being watched. The criminals cannot know that a CIA agent is here. In a twisted way, that made some amount of sense to me. Wow. Or maybe I had lost my grip on reality so completely that I was willing to resign myself to this new version of it. Most importantly, I didn't know what else to do. Even if Michael wasn't working for the CIA, which struck me as more and more likely, he was sending the man to our address. Yeah, he was sending the man to your address. Like, what if you'd have changed your mind? That dude could have went in there and just whipped your ass and took the cash. So stupid. He was sending the man to our address. I felt sickening dread that he might ask to come inside if giving him this money would make him go away. I was ready to do it. I'd been on the phone for nearly 5 hours, Cap. I wanted to take my son trick or treating, and I was exhausted. No, you got taken trick or treating. Michael seemed to sense that I was flagging and asked if I'd had lunch. I hadn't. He told me to eat something. This been on the line for 5 hours and ain't eat as much as a damn Tic Tac. He told me to eat something, but kept him on the line. His agent was on the way to my address, but running late. You can meet him outside if that would make you more comfortable, Michael said. I felt relieved. I gnawed on the granola bar at my desk. He got chatty and asked about my job. I told him I was going to Washington, D.C. This lady is just full of stupid conversations. Oh, great. You could come to my office in Langley. You can come to my office in Langley. Where are you staying? A little after 6 p.m., Michael told me to go downstairs. His colleague was arriving. My husband had just come home from work and was reading to our son. What's going on? Is everything okay? He asked as I put on my coat. As I put my coat on, I mentioned to the phone and shushed him. See, I'd have had to divorce this bitch. I'm sorry. Forgive me for calling her that. But like your husband is right downstairs playing with your son, and you like, shh, I can't tell you what's going on. This story fake as hell. It ain't no way that this story is legit. Is everything okay? She put on her coat. Then I whispered, I have to go downstairs and meet a guy who is helping me with this identity theft case. I'll explain later. He frowned and silently mouthed, what? I told him I had to go. Oh my God. This bitch is the worst. This is absolutely crazy. I met the SUV at the curb and put the money in the back seat. It was 6:06 p.m. Even if I tried to see who was driving, the windows were tinted and it was dusk. He maybe wore a baseball cap. When I turned around, I could see the backlit faces of my husband and son watching from our apartment 9 stories above. I know her husband was just looking in disgust and disappointment. As I walked back inside, Michael texted me a photo of a treasury check made out to me for $50,000 and told me a hard copy will be hand delivered to me in the morning. He was working on setting up my appointment with the Social Security office. You will receive a confirmation text shortly, he said. Stay on the line until you do. I felt oddly comforted by this. An appointment would give me something legitimate, an actual, connection to a government agency. She took her son trick or treat. You just gave her $50,000, and you took. She took her son trick or treating. My phone on speaker in my pocket. I felt numb, fatigue state, sniffing, blah blah blah. I checked to see if Michael was still there. His female colleague answered and said he'd be back soon. Yo, let's give a shout out to the scammers, okay? Like, I don't even count this as a scam. I put this more in the stupidity category. But yo, they saw this thing all the way through. Once I got the 50 racks, I'd have been like, click, click. But they saw this thing all the way through. Hey, shout out to them, even though you don't want to give credit for illegal things being done. But, hey, as far as the scamming thing go, they were consistent in their efforts. The woman answered, Michael is busy. He'll call you in the morning. I was confused. Did this mean I didn't have the social security number at all anymore? I pictured myself floating identityless. Do I have an appointment at the social security office? I asked. Michael will call you tomorrow, she repeated. He hasn't been able to secure your appointment yet, but the social security office is closed now. Long story short of this, this foolish lady continued to call and continued to call. She tried to call in the morning, and at one point they said, "Yo, we'll call you back. This agent is busy right now." Then she was trying to call back, and eventually she didn't get in contact with nobody. And then the next time she tried to call, all of the numbers were bad. This is the stupidest story I ever heard of in my life. This story is fake cat. Hey, what's good? What's good? Get out of here with all let's connect and grow together stuff, man. Oh man, that's crazy. But is I don't know. This story is straight cap. I don't believe any of it. She ignored the bank teller and her husband. This is legitimate grounds for divorce. Like, y'all let me know. Like, if you take out over half of our life savings, right? You take out over half of our life savings, hand it to some dude in a shoebox, and I ask you what's going on, and you like, shh. Now this story is all over the internet. Like, I just don't believe that this story is real. I think this story is 100% cap. Y'all let me know in the comments. Like, do y'all think this story is legitimate? I feel on a scale, like if I had to put a percentage that this story didn't happen, I'm probably gonna put this shit at 70%. Like I just can't believe it. I need to see some corroborating evidence to believe that this story is real. But hey, if this story is real, this lady should not be giving out financial advice on anything. No matter how good or how squared away she is, the fact that she was this naive to fall for this is just eh, it's just sufficient. It's sufficient basis for you not to be employed in the financial arena at all. I don't give a damn. The fact that you had $80,000 in the bank, your house could be paid off. I don't give a flying fuck. The fact that you fell for this with so many red flags is you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. You need to go work at a call center or something that's more conducive to what your skill set may be. This is just my personal opinion. But I think this story is cap. I just don't believe that this story is real. So let the FBI examine the phone records for that 5-hour phone call. I mean, she was, hey, nah. I think this story is bogus. They say that she actually called law enforcement. Okay. They said that she actually called law enforcement. Law enforcement arrived and was like, ma'am, it's a scam. And they tried to give it a silver lining. A silver lining is, well, at least you didn't lose your whole $80,000. You still got 30,000 less to start on, but like, I don't know. Like, if this story is false, I'm sure she called the police. She called the police department. The police, even if you get a call and the story seems like bullshit, they probably gonna do a police report because they probably gonna just file it in the scam category because it ain't really shit that they can do because she brought a lot of this on herself. But if this story is fake and she wasted the government resources having the cops come out there, filed this bullshit police report telling this story, whatever the maximum sanction you can get, the maximum punishment you can get for fraudulent she should get. She's on her what's the dude who tried to say he was accosted by some Trump supporters? I can't think of his name, but I just don't believe this story. I just wanted to cover this story because it was just so stupid that it needed to be covered. Terrible. On a list of scammers on the DFD scamometer, and scamometer is a scale of 1 to 10. I need to get a nice little graphic. 1 as this isn't a 10 is the scam is really sophisticated. Like 10, a 10 scam to me is like Bernie Madoff. Like Bernie Madoff, he had the appearance, he had the wealth, he was successful in the market before he became a scammer. So a scam like that is a 10. A scam that would be a 1, this may be the new bar for what a 1 is. A 1 is a scam that's not sophisticated at all. So the farther you go up on the scam meter, the more reasonable it is to fall for the scam. The lower you go on the scam meter, you fall more into the stupidity ranges and out of the reasonableness realms. This motherfucker landed, this chick landed in the stupidity realm. Hey, 80 to 90% of the blame, if this is a legit story, falls on her. So, yo, that's it for this asinine story. I appreciate everybody who tuned in and who commented. Yo, keep your head on the swivel out there because there's scammers out there. But most times, if it seems too good to be true, if there's anything that gives you cause to pause, if you have a slightest inclination not to do it, don't do it. Like, when it's summertime and I want to ride my motorcycle, sometimes I'd be like, I'm gonna ride my motorcycle, and I wake up in the morning. If I have any reservations about doing it, like, oh man, I don't feel like putting all that fucking shit on, or oh man, I gotta go get gas, or oh, it's too hot. If I have any reservations about getting on that damn thing, I just like, oh, you know what? I don't feel like putting that stuff on. I just don't do it. That's kind of how I look at it as a sign. If you have any reservations about anything when it comes to your finances, just pump your brakes. Don't do it. If there's an investigation going on, this shit not going to culminate. It's not going to come to a conclusion in the next 48 hours. These things takes years, months. I mean, I've seen investigations. I've had investigations that went 5, 6, 7 years. So there's always time for you to just stand back, look at it objectively, wait a week before you do anything. Nothing gonna happen to you in a week that's gonna cause you to make a decision immediately. So Just keep that in mind, because I don't want to see none of my people out there getting finessed. Hey, I rock with y'all who support me. And the last thing I want to do is do a story of somebody who is a part of the DFD, a part of the intellectual savage community. Y'all take care. On the replay, if y'all enjoyed this content, hit the subscribe button. I probably should say that shit at the beginning of the video, in the middle, but hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this, you're going to enjoy the content that's going to pop up on the screen. Peace.